Welcome to episode number 10 of From Ordinary to Extraordinary, where you can experience an entire life and business turnaround through the psychology and the strategies of mastery, greatness, ultimate performance. Now, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes for people to get in because I know there's a delay on Facebook. So let me ask you a question while we're waiting. If you're here now, let me ask you a question, and I'll maybe ask it a couple times for people who are coming in a little bit slower. But do you ever feel like your life is a little bit out of control? If you do, just type yes. Just do me a favor. Let me know you're here. Just type yes in the comments below. Do you ever feel like your life is out of control? And Bear, who is my grand producer on the other side of the camera here, can tell me, when we get some who says, yes, James, sometimes I feel like my life is a little bit out of control, because I'm going to share with you some science today. I love science. I love science. Who says yes? Marta. Hey, Marta. You feel like your life is out of control? Yeah? Okay, good. Anyone else? Do you feel like sometimes your life is out of control? Just type yes here in the comments and let me know that you're in the same club I'm in. Because I'll say yes. Yeah, there's a lot of times I feel like my life is out of control. And that's a common experience. And so we got anybody else that feels like sometimes your life is a little bit out of control? I'm going to give you Londa. Londa, hopefully I said your name correctly. Thank you for responding. Londa's out of control. Darlene's out of control. I'm out of control. Marta's out of control. Is there anyone else who feels like their life is a little bit out of control? While we're waiting for people to join here, we're waiting for the Facebook delay. We got 4 people who are in a great club. I'm going to say it's a great club. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. Because we're going to talk about what that means. It actually means good things. And so, why don't we just roll here? So, several people feel like your life is out of control. If you haven't said yes, then just let me know that you're in the club with me, because I go back and I look at all these comments after we're done, and I do my best always to respond. So if you want additional information, or if you want me to clarify something, just put it in the comments, and I always go back and I do that after the fact. Mario Andretti, right? One of the greatest race car drivers of all time, says, if you feel like everything is in control, you're moving too slow. I love that quote. If you feel like everything's in control, you're moving too slow. So all of you who are in the club, if you're in the club with me where you feel like your life is out of control, that's a good thing, because it means that you're moving quickly. You're moving fast. And guess what? Speed is king in today's world. If you're not moving fast enough, if you're always in control, then you're not doing anything great. And so I'm going to share some science with you here today. As I told you, I love science. And here's the first thing I need you to understand, and I'm just going to tell you what you already know. You're going to face challenges in life, whether you like them or not. Because the fact is, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Put that in your notes, hopefully handwritten notes, which facilitates whole brain integration and learning and application. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So the question is, if you're going to face challenges, whether you like them or not, how are you going to get through them? Second thing, you're going to make mistakes. Now, here's the thing. The term mistake is a man-made term. Obviously, all language is man-made. But what we tend to call mistakes is something we label. We slap a label on something that we don't prefer. And we call it a mistake. You with me? So we call things mistakes that we don't like. But the fact is, for the wise, is that your last mistake was probably your greatest teacher. If you're awake and aware and moving forward, how many times have you, like me, learned more from your last mistake, quote, mistake, than you learned from your successes and when you're doing things, quote, right? And so, therefore, isn't it a gift? I think you'll have to believe or at least think about the fact that it is a gift. So you're going to make some mistakes, what you will label as mistakes. You know, most of the things I've done in my life and my business don't work. But then again, they do work. Because if you learn from them, you grow from them, you know, sometimes it's every bit as important to know what not to do as it is to know what to do. Does that make sense to you? And so, how are you going to use your mistakes? You know, you can wish and pray all day long that things will be easier. Good luck. And the surprises in life will go away. Good luck. And they won't. No matter how much you wish and pray, no matter how much you rise to a certain level of success, your surprises are not going to go away. In fact, as you rise to a certain level of success, they're going to accelerate. Does that make sense to you? As you rise to the challenge, you're going to face greater challenges. And so you've got to ask yourself, am I going to be happy and fulfilled, or am I going to be miserable? Because if you're constantly asking yourself, asking the universe, asking life to take away all your challenges and all your difficulties, then you're going to be miserable. Or you can find out how to transmute, fancy word, transform those challenges and those difficulties into opportunities. How to make them help you grow. How to learn more, become faster, better, wiser, smarter through those difficulties and what most call mistakes. Which strategy seems more productive? To wish and pray and hope for easy, or just to face the fact that life is going to throw curveballs, but guess what? You can learn to hit curveballs. You with me? Which is smarter? You know, A or B? Obviously, B is smarter. Hey, I'm going to face challenges. I want challenges. They're going to make me grow. They're going to make me stronger. They'll make me faster, wiser, better. My greatest learning comes from my, quote, mistakes, things that don't work the way I want them to work. Now, you know, if I were to end today's session right there, I mean, that's worth the price of admission, if you will. I mean, that's worth the time you took to be here and to listen. But I'm not going to end it there because there's still more. You see, I'm going to challenge you to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. The question is, will you do that? You want challenges. You want mistakes. Why? Because you want to test your abilities. You want a formidable opponent. You know, how much fun and how much fulfillment would you have by playing tennis? Let's pretend for a moment that you're a tennis pro, playing tennis with a child who can't get it back over the net, who can never hit a serve. It always just goes into the net. You know, how much fun is that? No, it's boring. You want a formidable opponent. You want someone who's going to make you stretch and maybe miss the ball once in a while. You're going to want someone who's going to hit it way into the corner and make you have to haul to catch it. You following the metaphor? You want a formidable opponent because you want to test your own abilities. You want life to test your abilities. And I told you I'm going to share science with you. If you're saying, James, you know, I'm not buying this. I want easy. I want quick. I want fast. You see, well, join the masses because we live in a time where, you know, people are looking for fast fame, simple success, get rich quick gimmicks. But I'm here to tell you those things don't work. And if you're pursuing them, you only set yourself up for frustration and failure because they don't work. And that's why people are jumping from this to this to this to this. Well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go into real estate, and now I'm going to go into network marketing, and now I'm going to go into, you know, online marketing. And now I'm going to be a coach, and now I'm going to be writing a book. And right? It's an epidemic because nobody ever stops. I shouldn't say nobody. Few people stop and say, you know, what are my gifts? What are my genius? What I come in with? And how can I develop that to a level of mastery? How can I bring my greatness to the world? My unique greatness. Let me tell you something. there's certain things you should not be doing. You know, I think it was Lou Holtz who said quitters never win. Well, that's just not true. You've heard that. It's not true. That would mean if you're a smoker and you quit, that you're a loser. Right? If you're an alcoholic and you quit drinking, you're a loser. If you're overweight and obese and you quit eating junk food, you're a loser. Now, I know that's not what Holtz meant, and so do you. But the fact is, you must practice strategic quitting. You need to quit doing the things you're not supposed to be doing right now. You're here to do. Does that make sense to you? Let's go to some science. Barbara Sahakian, easy for me to say. Barbara Sahakian, a neurophysiologist from the University of Cambridge, states, quote, if you're interested in mastery, you have to learn this lesson. You interested in mastery today? I hope that you are. I'm going to challenge you to be interested in mastery, to commit to mastery over your own convenience. And Sahakian, easy for me to say, from Cambridge, said to achieve mastery, you have to be able to tolerate and enjoy risk. In fact, she said to be able to achieve anything, you have to be able to tolerate and enjoy risk. You see, the fact is the greatest risk in today's world is taking no risk. I'm not talking about being imprudent. I'm talking about finding your gifts and genius and then going all in. Leaving it all on the field, giving it everything you have. You know, this is absolutely true, whether consciously aware of it or not. Let's go to Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the professor of psychology and management at Claremont Graduate University. Csikszentmihalyi has done research in over 150 countries around the world, with over 150,000 people. And what he has found and what his research has proven is that you are happiest, you are most fulfilled when you're going after big goals and you're facing great challenges. Now, you go, oh, wait, no, this is science, all right? This is proven. You are most fired up, you are most inspired, you are most plugged in, you are most, motivated, awake, and aware when you're going after big challenges, when you're taking big risk. Why? Because it gets the endorphins pumping. It gets the juice flowing. You're not, we were talking about people who are wishing for easy. Don't wish for easy. Wish for great. Wish for meaningful. Wish for greater capability and capacity to get through challenges, because that's what you really want. And this is science. This is science-based, research-based. What you really want are great challenges. What you really want to do is push your own envelope. Think about the times in your life when you're most fired up and you're most inspired and you're most excited and you're most fulfilled when you hit a big goal, right? Because it was a difficulty in getting there. The victory is always sweeter when the battle is more difficult. Let's go to Carol Dweck. This is why I picked the Mario Andretti quote to start off today. If you think everything's in control, you're just moving too damn slow. Right? Carol Dweck is a professor of psychology from Stanford, and she studied the minds of Formula One race drivers. Now, imagine hairpin turns. Imagine speeds of over 200 miles an hour. Mistakes at that level of movement can not only cost you the race, it can cost you your life. I mean, these guys and gals are ultimate performers in their field. They're moving fast. And, I've gone fast on a highway early in the morning hours, like 2 a.m. when there was no traffic. And I decided to test out, how fast my car would go. And I'm not, I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but I've been up to 140 miles an hour before, and when you turn the steering wheel just that much, it's like vroom. I mean, the responsiveness at those speeds, you hit a bump, and it's a major issue. So think about these Formula One race drivers, and they are going at over 200 miles an hour, and they're going around hairpin turns, and they've got traffic all around them. I mean, it's intense. It's intense, as you imagine it now. And so what was that this extreme focus and this extreme achievement that the Formula One race drivers possessed, that you and I probably understood can possess as well, and have the same level of achievement, same level of focus in our life, is number one, you have to get into the flow state. Now, it's not the purpose of today's Ordinary to Extraordinary to talk about all the qualities of getting into the flow state, because there are about 8 hacks, if you will, 8 qualities, which we can talk about at a later time, which will get you into flow. And you may say, well, James, what is flow? Well, flow is what I named my new puppy. But I did that for a reason, to remind me that I want to get into flow. Okay, I want to get into flow as often as possible. Flow is a very spiritual experience. It's, what William James, the father of modern psychology, called a mystical state. What Abraham Maslow, who you might remember from your studies, called a peak state. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi has more recently called it a flow state, but it's where you are merged into something, plugged into something that is bigger, bolder, smarter, faster than you are, where results are coming through you versus from you. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. And again, it's not the purpose of today to talk about all the ways to get into flow state, but let me tell you the one that we explore time and again, because I'm really passionate about it, it's so critically important, is that you got to find your genius. One of the hacks to getting into flow is that you got to set goals that you put this in your notes. You have the ability to achieve. You see, not everyone is meant to be a professional speaker. Not everyone is meant to paint like Van Gogh. Not everyone is meant to create, brilliant music. Not everyone is meant to business. Not everyone is meant to write a book. You got to find your gifts and genius. And then you got to set goals that you have the ability to achieve. Not easy goals. They got to be stretch goals. They got to really make you work. They got to make you push the envelope. Because remember, everything we've already talked about still counts. Great challenges, sometimes a crisis. That's when you're really got the juices flowing. You with me? And that's when you get into the flow state. When you're setting an intention or a goal, you might ask yourself, for years I've called it a teetering edge goal. It's not over the edge, because over the edge is not going to inspire you, because you're not going to get it. But back on the ledge isn't going to inspire you either, because you could do it with one arm tied behind your back, metaphorically speaking. You got to be on the teetering edge. You got to say, hey, if I do everything right, if all the stars align, if I hold my mouth just right, and if everything falls into the pocket, I can get this. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a stretch. That'll get you into flow. Let me just quote Peter Drucker, one of the greatest management consultants of all time. He said, with regard to gifts and genius, he said, there is nothing so useless as doing with great efficiency that which should not be done at all. You get that? There's nothing so useless as doing with great efficiency that which should not be done. Remember strategic quitting. There are things you need to quit. You shouldn't be doing them. Society has told you, your parents have told you, your school system has told you, your government has told you, the economy has told you, whatever, that there are certain things you should hold in high regard. But they're not your thing. They're not your thing. You got to find your thing. So, again, Carol Dweck's research said that these race car drivers who move at these breakneck speeds are in the flow state. You know, their unconscious is taking over. Unconscious mind runs the body, and so they're not thinking. They're not thinking at all. They're in flow. When you're in flow, you're not thinking. It's happening through you, not from you. Get the difference? Second thing that Dweck found in her research is that they had the ability to make mistakes, we'll put that in quotations, and not allow it to blow their concentration. Now, that's a tough one, right? I mean, you know anything about my life? I've made a ton of mistakes. I mean, I was involved in a horrible accident 7 years ago. Things were overlooked. Things were missed. It was my responsibility. It was my team. It was my event. It was my exercise. It was my activity. It was my responsibility. You know, I've made tremendous mistakes, and I've chosen to learn tremendous lessons. What about you? You see, according to Dweck, if you want to move at breakneck speeds like a Mario Andretti of your craft, then you have to be able to make mistakes and not let it blow your concentration. And that's a muscle that has to be developed. You know, how many teachers in your life have you had? I've had a lot. Are you learning from those teachers? I mean, the greatest teacher is life itself. Now, out of this research, if you're following along, flow state, being able to make mistakes and not let it blow your concentration, what Dweck found is that there are basically two kinds of mindset. Remember, from ordinary to extraordinary, we explore psychology and strategy, but please remember, your psychology always drives your strategy. You've got to make the mindset shifts first and foremost before you're going to apply new strategies and tactics. Because if you apply new strategies and tactics without making the mindset shift, then they're not going to stick. Sometimes they're not even going to be applied, and they're certainly not going to stick. What Dweck found in her research is there's two kinds of mindset, what she called a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Now let's talk about a fixed mindset first, because a fixed mindset has this belief that talents and abilities are fixed, that you are born with them and you're either hardwired for extreme achievement or you're not. Now let me tell you something. I believe we're all hardwired for extreme achievement. I believe everyone can be super epic productive. We just got to find our thing. You just got to find your thing. But you see, nothing is fixed. In fact, Lewis Terman, here's some more science, did exhaustive research from Stanford University of people who had a genius level of cognitive intelligence, which I believe is a score of 140 plus. And what his research proved was that most people who had a genius level of intellectual cognitive performance accomplished very little in life. Please put this in your notes. Your grit is more important than your intelligence. Your grit is more important than your genetics. So is your energy. You know, what Terman's research found was that work ethic determined extreme achievement much more so than genetics or gifts. Your energy and your focus is more important than your intelligence. That's all that internal game. Remember, your psychology always drives your strategy. You know, let's go back to Dweck's work with these Formula One race car drivers. You know, if they can't deal with their psychology, their mindset, and they can't stay focused, and they can't, you know, be malleable and open, they're going to blow it. So that brings us to a growth mindset. Is this making sense to you? These are games, you're getting them. I hope that you are. I hope you're taking great notes. A growth mindset is able to enter focus flow much more quickly and predictably. You know, that's because with a growth mindset, we know our unique genius. We know what our purpose is. When you know your gifts, your genius, and your purpose, then you go into flow because you're doing what you're here to do. You're not doing what society tells you is important. You know, with a growth mindset, what we understand is that natural born talents are a starting point. They're not fixed. They're a starting point. And we are continually acting and adjusting our way to mastery, to our own mastery. Does that make sense? You see, as we discussed, making mistakes is a man-made term. Wisdom tells us our greatest teacher was our last mistake if we're learning. So, are you thinking? If you have additional questions or comments, again, put them in the comments below, and I'll come back and I'll flesh this out. But let me give you 4 hacks. 4 hacks to developing a growth mindset for extreme achievement and extreme focus. You ready? Number 1 is a tactic and a strategy. It's a tactic and a strategy. Remember, we're in From Ordinary to Extraordinary. We deal with psychology and strategies. And this first one is a tactic, a strategy. Find what you're good at. Number 1, hack. Find what you're good at. Your unique genius. I love that word genius. You know, in the Latin, it's from the Latin meaning to bring into manifestation. The word genius means to bring into physical form. From the Greek, it means your higher self. It means literally your soul. Find it. Find it. Or you're never going to get into flow. You're just not. You know, you're going to have to step back from what you've been programmed to believe. You have to practice what I call beginning at the beginning. First one, first hack. Find your genius. Find your gifts. Go back to your childhood and think about what have you naturally always been good at? What have you always been attracted to? You know, set aside the money. Money's not the issue. Meaning is the issue. Find your meaning and let the money follow the meaning versus the other way around, trying to follow the money and hopefully meaning will come. It most often will not. The second hack, stop wishing for easy. Now, this is a psychological hack. You got to shift your mindset. Stop wishing for easy. You don't want easy. You don't want to play chess with a puppy, right? You don't want to play chess against a child. You know, yeah, there is some value in mentoring a child and coaching a child possibly, but how exciting, how fulfilling is that going to be long term? No, stop wishing for easy. You want to push the envelope. You want great challenges. You want a formidable opponent so you can test your abilities. Stop wishing for easy. Hack number 3, become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You see, here's the thing. The only time you're ever comfortable is when you're doing repeats. You're never comfortable setting records, right? You're never comfortable setting records. You're only comfortable doing repeats. When you're going after records, you're always uncomfortable. I love Rumi. And one of my favorite quotes from Rumi says, run from what's comfortable. Don't walk, run, he says. Run from what's comfortable. Live where you fear to live. Forget comfort, he says. Destroy your reputation. Be notorious. Isn't that good? Direct quote. Run from what's comfortable. Live where you fear to live. Forget comfort. Destroy your reputation. Be notorious. Are you ready? Are you willing? Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Hack number 4, there's a big difference between failure and temporary setback. You see, what the amateur sees as failure, the master sees as a temporary setback. Temporary setback. I've had many of them. I had a big one 7 years ago, and it hurt, and it was hard. You see, just frame it differently in your mind. Temporary setback It's not a failure. It's just a temporary setback. You know, what can I learn from this? Psychological tactic. There's no failure. There's only feedback. You get it? There's no failure in life. There's only feedback. And the greatest feedback and the greatest opportunities and the greatest growth and the greatest learning come from our temporary setbacks. You know, maybe you're on a setback right now. I get that. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But what has to happen for you to turn that temporary setback into the greatest opportunity, the greatest lesson, the greatest learning of your entire life? Answer that question, and you change your life. Look, I know I've given you a lot of content in a short amount of time. I'm going to challenge you and encourage you to go back and listen to this again and again and again. What about a holding pattern when your life is on hold? Janet? Hey, Janet. I get that. You know, I felt that way many times. You know, when I was sitting in a cell for 2 years, it really felt like my life was on hold. You know, I wasn't doing what I'm here to do. I wasn't being totally fulfilled. And what I would encourage you to understand, Janet, is that I finally came to a realization I was doing what I was here to do. And I needed to change my mindset, my psychology. Remember, your psychology always drives your strategy. I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself because I was comparing my life to what it once was. I realized I had to stop that. You can't compare your life to what it once was. You got to compare your life to what it is now, and what it is now has nothing to say about where it's going. You know, I could still do that today. I could compare my life to what it once was, and it's going to make me absolutely miserable and unhappy. Or I can say, hey, this is my life. And that's what happened to me when I was sitting in a cell. I began to recognize, hey, I have a great opportunity here. I've got to make this work for me versus against me. You know, what other time in my life do I have the opportunity? You know, if you feel like you're in a holding pattern, Janet, then you got plenty of time to study. You got plenty of time to grow. You got plenty of time to research. You got plenty of time to develop new skills and techniques. You got plenty of time to attend events. You got plenty of time to shift your mindset. And I'm just telling you from my own experience. I started journaling and writing and reading, you know, literally for 12, 14 hours a day. Where else in life did I have that kind of time and opportunity? You know, there's a lot of things about my circumstance in prison when I was there that really sucked. But, you know, where else am I going to have a point in midlife? Where do we have an opportunity where we have no rent, we have no utilities, we have no groceries? Yeah, I could focus on the food sucked. I could focus on the environment sucked, you know, but instead I chose to focus on here's an opportunity for me. I have no responsibility to take care of now. I can focus on me. I can reflect on my life. I can grow. I can expand. I can put great information into my mind. Does that help? It's not easy. Remember, don't wish for easy. Wish for greater capacity and capability. And Janet, what you've been given is a great gift if you're only willing to seize it and to not let it knock you off your game. Get back into the flow state. This is what we're talking about, a growth mindset. Embrace the time. It's the winter time of your life. You know, if you feel stuck, someone else, Mary Lynn, you know, if you feel like you're stuck, imagine yourself unstuck. You know, sometimes you have to step back a few steps to take a major leap forward. You know, in those times of being stuck, there's no more time of being stuck than sitting in a 10 by 8 by 10 cell. Okay? And I'm not comparing myself to you or, you know, everybody's thing is their thing. But I can only tell you, I relate, okay? I really get it, Mary. And what you've got to do is you've got to realize you're not stuck. Get out of the quicksand and onto the concrete. right now, in your mind, step out of the quicksand, undo the leashes, and step onto the concrete. And let's start running. Let's start reading. Let's start writing. Let's start studying. Let's start expanding. Let's turn off the plug-in drug and make an investment in our mind. You know, I call it the 1x10 formula. Every single dollar, every single hour you invest in your own capabilities right here, will return to you a minimum of 10 times over, and I'll be really conservative. This is my experience with my own life, as well as with hundreds of thousands of people from literally 143 different countries around the world. We got people from all over the world here today. You know, the 1x10 formula. Invest 10 times more in your mindset than you do in your marketing. Invest 10 times more in your own growth and development than you do in anything else. You know, our last From Ordinary to Extraordinary, I did from Orlando last week. Maybe you caught it. We did a live stream, and we offered people the opportunity to make an investment in themselves. And, you know, some people seize it. Those who are wise seize it. Those who don't. You know, one of the things I learned from Buffett years ago is always focus on the value versus the price. You know, you got to look at the value. What's the value of an hour or a 1 point increase in your own consciousness and capability? It's limitless. So, thanks for your questions. I hope that helps. What's your mindset? Is it growth or fixed? I challenge you to develop a growth mindset. And let me just go through the 4 hacks once again, because I got a little off course answering the questions. But number 1, find what you're good at. You know, Mary, Janet, find what you're good at. This is an opportunity for you to find what you're good at. Because, you know, research tells us 71% of the people surveyed are not doing what they're good at. When you're happy and you're fulfilled, you're 3,000, according to science, you're 3,000 times more productive. Right? Find what you're good at. Hack number 2, stop wishing for easy. You don't want easy. You know, anyone who's selling easy is not selling you the truth. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, then everybody would be great. Number 3, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Congratulations, man. You know, I'm uncomfortable. Me. I'm talking about me. I'm uncomfortable right now. There's a lot of things going on in my business right now. I'm uncomfortable, man. Holy crap. There are days where I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna figure this one out. But you know what? That's where the juice comes. Because when you do figure it out, and when you do make it another day, and when you do make it another month, and you do make it, you know, another 6 months, then you're like, damn, you know, I have so much within me. Don't you? Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, write the Rumi quote across the screen of your mind. Run from what's comfortable. Run. Comfort equals death. Death of spirit, death of soul. Live where you fear to live. You know, I'm going to talk about this next week. You know, you need to learn to love to be scared. Your job is to be scared shitless. You know, look for the blog coming out on Monday morning. And then, hack number 4. Remember, there's no failure. There's only feedback. There's no failure. There's only temporary setbacks. Temporary setbacks are often the path to quantum leap forward. If you will use it, Janet. If you will use it, Mary. All the rest of you. If you will use that time of temporary setback to become better, bigger, faster, stronger, then, you know, the next wave, according to the law of rhythm, one of the 7 laws of the universe, the next wave is going to be way bigger than the last wave. And let me promise you this, when you get bigger waves, you get bigger challenges. So develop the mental fortitude, the grit, the muscle to deal with the challenges. You don't do that with easy. You do that by pushing the envelope. You do that by lifting heavier weights, metaphorically speaking, both mentally as well as physically. You know, you can tell I'm fired up about this. I'm going to reel it in because I know our attention span is limited in today's environment. But thank you so much for being here. I love to help you. I love to answer your questions. I'm here for you. You know, put your questions down below. Put your comments. Please share this. You know, share this if you haven't yet. Share it with people, with your tribe. Because in my experience, there's not a lot of people talking about these things. You know, there's too many people selling easy. There's too many people selling magic. There's too many people selling, you know, romanticism. And easy, romantic, and magic just set us up for frustration and failure because they don't work. You know that, and I know that, and I'm always going to be straight up with you. So thanks for being here. Go out and be great. Until we speak again, as always, stay awake, which means you have to think differently than the masses. Love life, which means the challenges, the difficulties, all of it, the ups as well as the downs, and be epic.